chance to come here and present some of the work that we're doing at the University of Illinois. This is the first time I've spoken at HUM, and I was actually really enjoying the program we're having. So the first thing I'll point out is that my title has kind of changed to reflect my evolving view of what's happening in these materials. But the point is the same. He used to say dipole spin ice, now we're now non-dipole spin ice. The point is the same. The overarching goal of my talk is kind of raise the profile and interest of rare earth spinel power cores, which I think are kind of underappreciated in the field. I think as proof of that, I'll point out that I originally had a slide saying a totally unnecessary introduction to spin ice, right, in this audience. It was going to be followed by a totally unnecessary introduction to 227 power cores. And I thought by Friday, on the last Friday afternoon, I wouldn't have to introduce spinels. But now I am Friday afternoon, and nobody, except for maybe Jeff Brown, briefly hasn't introduced spinel, which I'm actually aghast about, actually. Because it's unfortunate, because I think there's a lot that can be done, especially with these new rare earth spinels, that can contribute to the field kind of in a way that's comparable to the 227 concept. And I'll take that time. So the majority of my talk is going to concentrate on the material I've been studying for a couple of years, magnesium, beryllium, selenide, which I put a paper on there about a year ago called something to the effect of dipolar spin ice in a rare earth selenide. Now I put a new version of, I worked on it for years and I learned more about it, learning more about it. And now I put a new version called non-dipolar spin ice behavior in a rare earth selenide. So for anyone who's interested in my talk, I encourage you to read the new version. And so, of course, what often happens with rare earth materials, if you can make one material, you can make a bunch of them. So I'm going to concentrate a lot on this material, which has a somewhat, seemingly a classical spin ice, but indirect evidence for quantum fluctuations due to low-line field excitations. And then, as towards the end of the talk, I'm going to go and introduce the other spinels that I have with an increasing sense of bewilderment as I go now. So it's all nascent work. It's all powder work. It's hard to make crystals. Although we've cracked that egg, we now have single crystals, at least of this compound that are coming. I don't have colorful animations or anything, but I hope by the end of this you'll have at least a keen interest to pursue more of these, not just magnesium selenide spinels, but the great stuff to be done in cadmium selenides and sulfides and okay, actually, before going on, I should point out that everything in this talk, from the synthesis of the materials to the analysis to a good portion of the making of these slides, was done by my graduate student, Damel Ray-T-Kwesi, who presented this work at the American Conference of Neutron Scattering a couple weeks ago, but couldn't be here today. So he did a lot of this work while stationed at Oak Ridge under this student research fellowship offered by the Department of Energy. He had the opportunity to live there for 6 months and work with Adam Maxwell to take a lot of these data. There's also a lot of work in my lab by students in my lab, like Alexander Kote, who's here actually, and two other graduates who did a lot of the magnetization. All the Monte Carlo results I'm going to present today were done by a collaborator in the Institute for Transplant Theory at Illinois, Brian Clark, and his student, Dean McCoy. Okay, let's get started with spinels. I'm not going to say a lot about spinels because I feel like people know spinels, right? At least they know the relevant piece of information is that there's two cation sites, and one of them is a power chloride. Actually, people say it's kind of a power chloride glass, but I like to point out it is the power chloride. It's the 16D site of the FD3 bar in space group is the identical labs that you see in the 227 materials. And as a result of that, the local point group symmetry is 3D3 is identical again, symmetrically equivalent to the 227 power cores. But that's really the similarities end. The big difference is when you start looking at the details, the local environment in the 227 materials is mostly dominated by these puckered rings of oxygen. It's like a distorted cube, depending on how you want to talk about it, which make kind of a series of inequivalent superexchange paths to the nearest neighbors, so known as the anti-ferromagnetic superexchange. That's in direct contrast to the spinels, where the cations live inside almost a perfect selenium, in our case, octahedra. And the exchange between nearest neighbors is through a 90-degree superexchange path. So in transition metals, the nearest neighbor superexchange is ferromagnetic. This is in contrast to 227s. And electron materials is a bit more complicated, but as Jeff Brow introduced nicely earlier this week, there's two equivalent sites that can interact with each other to create a lot of interesting behavior. So the F electrons and the D electrons are notably different from the 2 7 electrons. And since these local crystal fields determine what your effective crystal system is, that affects the ultimate ground state. So there's a lot of strong motivation to studying these things, and expectation that they'll act differently than the 2 7. So if you're looking for new states of matter, this is a good place to work. And of course, we kind of know this already. People don't look at spinels a lot because they think they distort. That's true with the transition modes. But the F electrons are a little bit more localized, so they tend to retain their cubic symmetry. They retain the perfect power lattice. So there's a couple examples that people might know of. About 10 years ago, or 8 years ago, there's a paper by Gregory MacDougall who showed that the material cadmium rubidium selenide as a dipole spinise, or a dipole spinise candidate. The main piece of evidence was a remnant Powell entropy of temperature. It's kind of the main experimental piece of evidence. It's been nice. But because of the presence of cadmium, neutron scattering work wasn't done until just this year, and there's a nice paper just published by Gregory MacDougall where they measured the crystal field stream, confirmed its Ising character, and looked at short-range correlation, showed its estimate. In that paper, they also showed a bunch of AC susceptibility data, but showed that the monopole hopping rate was like 2 orders of magnitude, 3 orders of magnitude hop faster than the rosy effect, which shows the signature of quantum fluctuations. So that's relevant. I'll come back. The other thing that you might have heard, because it was talked about this week, is the material cadmium ytterbium selenide. So Jeff Rao was talking about this in the context of his calculations, ytterbium spinel corner sharing of octahedra. So there was a nice paper last year by Bernard de Rotier, where they show that there's a gamma 5 converted state, which is kind of consistent with the expectation of Jeff, I believe. And then more generally, there's a paper by Eagle last year about that showed this is not just cadmium selenide with sulfide, there's magnesium too, and they kind of all look alike. So, me being interested in spinels and kind of averse to expensive isotopes, or spending money on expensive isotopes, kind of naturally gravitated towards magnesium. Actually, we kind of came about this independently. I said offhand to my student a couple years ago that we should look at this material that I get rid of cadmium, and he came back with a whole set of synthesized samples, which is nice. He came across this paper by Fao, sorry, Michael. In 1964, where they looked at all the ternaries, transitional rare ternaries, and there's a whole collection of different structures. But for the magnesium series, you should get a cubic spinel structure from ytterbium and to lutetium. So we went ahead and synthesized what we could. We did the holmium, I didn't do it in order. We did this one first because we're interested in spinel stuff, right? So we saw magnesium, erbium, but also ytterbium, thulium, and holmium. We tried ytterbium, dysprosium, zircon, but lutetium with that's not magnetic. So this is just X-ray scattering data showing that we have the right structure, kind of basic for fun stuff. A couple things I should point out is I quite unfairly plotted this model that you couldn't see the quality of this, so I'll just acknowledge right now it's harder to make magnesium samples super pure because magnesium wants to float away. So you kind of have to accept about 5 to 10% of the purity. The purity is always erbium, selenide, or some rare selenide. The good news is that the material itself, the majority of it doesn't like to form defective structures. So if you're short on magnesium, you always get phase separation through the interface. So you know how to refine it and say a lot about the majority space. The other thing I want to point out is the lattice parameters for these are about 15 to 20% larger than the 227 spinise materials. So they're always about 10 extras. Here they're always about 11.5, which effectively means for the crystal fields, they're all kind of squished down towards the elastic channel. You have more low-lying crystal field expectations than you would otherwise. Okay. So let's find the crystal fields. This is what determines the local effective spin system. So this is the first thing we did. We went to, this is this data from Sequoia, applying our hydrogen photographer converters, the neutron source, on our sample with the base moments. We have the best data, so on the sample. So you see crystal field excitations of the ground state level show up these horizontal lines. You notice that some of them are low enough that you can thermally excite them, so we did a bunch of different temperatures so we could get intrastatic excitations. So eventually with this material, with magnesium, erbium, selenide, we had 6 different spectra with 2 different temperatures, 2 different wavelengths, 3 different temperatures. We identified 24 different modes. And we fit the whole crystal field spectrum. And for those people who are interested in the details, what we did a Monte Carlo exploration of the 6-dimensional parameter space because the team was operated. Long story short, there's 6 pieces of information, we have 24 modes. So we really kind of nailed the magnesium erbium selenide because it's the easiest. The other materials have weaker moments, so it's a bit harder. So when you lower the intensity of these modes, you kind of get photon excitations that are kind of the same intensity. But when you're running photon excitations, you kind of just look at the Q dependence of these modes, and you can see ones that go up are either phonon, and ones that go down are kind of crystal field excitations. And in that way, we kind of got 4 excitations for each of these. The ytterbium was harder because the ytterbium only theoretically has 3 or 4, and one of them is always kind of weak. So we see 2. So this is an under-constrained problem, but we think we've got a solution to this. So using the Stevens operators we kind of get from these sorts of fits, we've kind of come up with these projected local crystal schemes, crystal field schemes. We have magnesium urban cell, the one we really nailed. We know this is a perfect Ising system. So we have a low-lying Crommer's doublet. That's actually a dipolar octapolar doublet that's come up today. This has a special symmetry. And the next high state is a 4 millielectron volts. We also have an Ising kind of doublet for the Holmian system, but you also have another doublet that's within 1 millivolt of the elastic channel, and 2 singlets which were within another millivolt higher. So almost certainly not an Ising system. We have a non-magnetic singlet in the thulium system, which is also has another singlet that's within 1 millivolt of the elastic channel. So there's a high potential for the low-lying crystal electron mode. We didn't resolve these in our measurements, by the way, either, so this is all kind of projected. There's a high possibility that we're kind of hybridizing these low-lying modes of getting this. And so just to show that, we just for fun, not because we think, as I said, we kind of treated these as degenerate, kind of re-diagonalized the crystal field system, and we kind of got a Heisenberg-like system with 14 more magneton moments, holmium from 2 more magnetons. And an Ising-like system with 13, a D factor of 13. I'm not that we think these are, but I'm just telling you that moment is there depending on the strength and form of the interaction between the spins. So there's a high possibility that these things aren't what they look like just based on the independent model. So the ytterbium I also wanted is kind of an unconstrained system. We have 2 or 4 pieces of information to get 6, or pieces of data to get 6 pieces of information. But we got a fit that we kind of think describes our data well, and we kind of believe it after Jeff Rao came out with his paper, and he looked at the expectation just from scaling theory by looking at some of our other compounds, and he came up with something almost the exact same numbers. It was amazingly close. So you should just take this with a grain of salt. There is some, this is not a constraint problem. Okay, so the question that you might reasonably ask is, if we did, so the Stevens operator equivalent is independent atom model. So if these energies are so close, you might reasonably ask, is our crystal field scheme trustworthy? And I think the answer is different depending on the material. For ytterbium, the low-lying gap is 25 mils. So this is probably right, in so much that we know the crystal field scheme. Holmium almost certainly not. Erbium is kind of on the cusp. It's a 4 millivolt low-lying mode. You might say that's not isolated enough, certainly less isolated than the dysprosium technique. But if we're down at 1 Kelvin, it's certainly not thermally populating this mode. And there's not enough interaction to mix these. But just to build confidence that we have the right crystal field scheme, the way you build confidence is you take something you've calculated and you use it to calculate something else. So the thing that we decided to try to calculate is the magnetization. So what we did really is we actually have all the eigenfunctions that kind of express the information. So you don't know. But we took all the eigenfunctions and we used degenerate perturbation theory to re-diagonalize all these doublets and then mix all the doublets with degenerate perturbation theory and then work out the partition function and magnetization for 1,500 different local field directions, and we kind of, in computer, we found the crystal average, and we came up with these solid lines. These solid lines are the expectation for the powder magnetization if our crystal field scheme is correct, overlaid with our data with no fitting parameters whatsoever. No scaling, no fitting at all. So it's not perfect, but no, it's perfect enough for you, right? And maybe you can't orbital diagram. But I think this was a strong confirmation that our crystal field scheme is about right, which means that we really have an Ising system, a well-separated Ising system. The other thing I want to point out, though, is among the things that we saw when doing this analysis is this kind of linear field dependence of high fields. So you might ask, what is the effect of this 4 millielectron volt mode? It doesn't stop you from being Ising-like. And this is it. What it does, this is a perturbative effect. This is This is the result of applied magnetic fields mixing the upper mode with the ground field. So the reason I point this out is because a lot of people, you see these linear field dependencies a lot in the literature. It's not what you expect for a kind of a relevant function. But you see this nonetheless, and what it represents is people destroying their Ising state by measuring with a large applied field. So there is a habit I've noticed of people kind of using magnetization to determine whether something else is something is Ising or not. This kind of shows you right away that if you have low-lying crystal fields, that's kind of really not appropriate. So at low fields, so practically what it does is it limits the regime of validity for the Ising picture. So we're limited to fields below 1 Tesla and temperatures below 5. So, but in that regime, we took our heat capacity. So we take heat capacity. This has been done a long time. I'm sure people have seen this a lot. We have heat capacity. We always saw this kind of shocking like anomalies around 1 Kelvin in this system. We have other contributions from crystal fields, which we can calculate exactly. Phonons, which we can model by fitting high temperature data, and impurities, which we can measure and subtract off. And when we do that, we can integrate up our remnant entropy. And we see we do get remnant entropy. That's in blue here in zero field. And that remnant entropy is kind of relieved by small fields that don't break our Ising picture. We're careful not to apply a large field. But it's not Pauling entropy. And this is a big change from my original manuscript. We originally had bigger error bars when we thought this was Pauling entropy. This is a non-Pauling entropy system. Moreover, we spent a lot of time trying to figure out how our system is different from the Cavian Irving cell line system, which saw Pauling entropy. But when we looked at it more closely, we found out that the system isn't different from Cavian Irving cell line. Turns out in 2010, when they calculated the remnant entropy in Cavian Irving cell line, they didn't have the crystal field data. So they did a reasonable thing. They fit it to a shocking anomaly, and they extracted a number which looked like Pauling entropy. But now we don't have to fit everything that's been measured by Gallagher this year. So taking off this fitted value and we're putting in the real value from the new neutron measurements, we found that the Cavian system not only does not have Pauling entropy, but it matches the magnesium system almost exactly. All right. So this was exciting to us for a couple of reasons. First, it points to some sort of intrinsic behavior between the material class. Second, it kind of eliminates disorder as a major cause of this non-Pauling entropy because the magnesium samples are larger than the So if disorder was a major factor, we wouldn't fix it this way to match up so nicely. So we want to know a bit more about the magnetic contribution. So this is the magnetic contribution on the right-hand side. The red here, this is the cadmium in there. The black's the magnesium. It matches perfectly. To figure out more about this, we did what people do with diapolysis. We fit it to the dipole model. So we mentioned somebody who knows more about Monte Carlo than I do. This is Brian Clark at the University of Illinois. And we asked him to kind of try to fit our data with classical Monte Carlo method. We know the dipole ice model doesn't work. Near neighbor dipole ice model doesn't work because if it did, we'd see Pauling entropy. Right? So we ruled that right away. We know there's something else in the system that's lifting the degeneracy of the ice manifold. So the most obvious thing to check is the next nearest neighbor interaction. And so we use the next nearest neighbor dipole ice model and we fit it. And we got a fit that works very, very nicely. So the dipole contribution we can just lift from the structure. We can get a good fit of our heat capacity data in the next nearest neighbor dipole ice model, which isn't very interesting until you kind of look at it. It's a lot smaller than the dipole contribution, but we had a couple constraints. Our nearest neighbor interactions were always ferromagnetic. Couldn't explain our data otherwise. Our next nearest neighbor interactions were always anti-ferromagnetic. We couldn't explain our data otherwise. And the next neighbor interaction was always significantly larger than the near neighbor interaction, which is odd because it's 70% further away. And I can walk you through the change path. The change path is awful. So nonetheless, we would have been inclined to kind of believe this fit describes the data very well, except it doesn't describe all of our data. It's not consistent with our neutron scattering data. So we did a bunch of diffuse neutron scattering data. At high temperature, the neutron diffuse scattering looks like form factor, which we expect from paramagnetic spins, which is nice because we can fit that form factor and use it to normalize the rest of our data. And here we show the difference between high and low temperature data at 3 different temperatures. Put on absolute and absolute tension scale. This absolute intensity scale is key because it allows us to compare to the predictions from Monte Carlo period. So we took the parameters determined from Monte Carlo, but we calculated the structure factor associated with the spin configurations, and we plotted those in purple. So in the paramagnetic state, it describes our data fairly well. But you can see as we go down in temperature, we start missing at specifically one position. That position is the 100 Bragg position, which is suspicious because this is the Bragg peak associated with the ordered state that we would reach if you just jacked up J2 next nearest neighbor interaction for any given. So long story short, what this seems to say is that if we increase the next nearest neighbor interactions enough to describe our heat capacity data, we can't describe our neutron data. So overall, that tells us that the next nearest neighbor dipole model is not sufficient to describe our data. How much time do we have? 1 minute, okay. So I'm going to talk about a lot of things. I'll flip through these things really fast. What I've shown you is the dipole ice model does not explain our data. And we have something else in the Hamiltonian that has to be in there. So we don't have the data to say much more than that, but we do have suspicions based on our crystal field. This is the eigenfunction for a low-lying doublet. This is actually a dipole optical doublet that I'm not going to talk about. But what occurred to us when we saw this is that a paper by Jeff Browd published in 2015 called How Magnitude of Quantum Effects in Classical Spin Ices, where he pointed out that any deviation from a 15-half crystal field function creates transverse coupling terms in the effective spin system. And it goes like the size of the next leading neighbor term over the 15-half term squared. So if we put in our data into this kind of general scaling analysis, we see about a 15% transverse coupling term. For point of reference, Etruvian titanate has 30%. So that's quite a bit one. Now, talking to Jeff this week, he told me, no, this is probably not appropriate. What's probably more appropriate is the fact that you have low-lying crystal fields and you get fluctuating crystal fields from low-lying crystal fields. And so he used this to show that you have fluctuations in erbium titanate because it has a 6-nodal mode that allows it to select an order by disorder mechanism. We have one before, so this is probably in our system. Both kind of have the same effect. We have every reason to believe we have transverse coupling terms from the crystal field excitations in our system, which shows that we don't have a classical spin ice, but a spin ice with quantum fluctuations. So I'm just going to slip through right to the end. Okay, I know I see your standing there. I have 3 more materials I'll talk about. Just one story short, this one's the singlet, but it has possible field new states. This one's ordered as a TQ, unreasonably TQ, low temperature heat capacity, but the ordering wave vector is half, with no other Q equals 0 values, which we don't understand. We don't have any ideas. The last one is our kind of terbium titanate equivalent. We have a low-lying doublet, 2 low-lying stainless. It also orders, so it looks like a lot of heat capacity. This is all crystal field entropy, with one little first-order phase transition at 3.5 Kelvin. And we see a huge ordering state, first-order ordering state, which we also understand. We've gone through every representation of the FTP representation. We cannot explain it. So that doesn't make these. So my conclusion is, don't forget the spin-outs. Everything else seems discrete. Thank you very much for your attention.
So thank you very much for a fascinating talk and speaking up at the end. So do we have any questions?
The elastic neutral scattering, do you see like a softening of your modes as the turbine type?
We have that in line. It's on the list.
Could you please put back up the neutron scattering measurements that you showed? The ones in absolute units, quite rightly you said this was very important. Those ones.
There's one here.
Yeah, why the intensities go negative?
Oh, because it's a difference. So this is the low temperature minus the high temperature. So there's
So you've got quite a paramagnetic part that you've also subtracted off.
you end up subtracting out the form factor in the high temperature data. But you can take that into account.
Other questions?
The Etruvian compound, is it
The ytterbium compound? It's Heisenberg, actually. Mostly, I guess, slight tendency towards Eisen, but it seems almost. So, I'll point out that the cavity of urban cell line sees a gamma 5. I'll put it up in case maybe you have time to talk about that. I see a gamma 5 term coexisting with a half peak, which they dismiss as distorted. But we see the half peak and none of the gamma 5 peaks. And of course, gadolinium titanate, we always see the half peak, which they associate with the decoupling tagging. Again, they see Q equals 0 order peaks, which we don't see. So somehow we're decoupling our tagnate planes, but not through sort of order planes. At least not that you can see. If so, it's much weaker than our current.
So if I actually you talked about this, I'm not quite sure of all of it. So when you're talking about the dipolar interactions, you have very large moments on the European side, right? So don't you have to have dipolar interactions that are fully three-dimensional? There's no way around that, right?
Yes, right. We do, and it's included in the line product.
So it's included taking you out to the bit and such.
You're asking we did equals.
Yeah.
We did 2,048 slice periodic boundary conditions with some other condition that Brian understands that's supposed to duplicate equals.
So why are you building up non-dipolar?
Well, I'm saying, I'm sorry. Sorry, maybe I'm a bit fast and loose with the language. I'm saying that the dipole ice model is not enough to describe our data. So there's something else in there. Maybe I should clarify. More than dipole ice. Okay.
I just have a comment. Stay on this slide. Stay on that previous slide. Yeah, so I just have a comment here. So for the OEM one, this so for the dipole to that we propose, the Hamiltonian contains more term than just the transverse speed, speed interaction and other interactions. And more of the Z component of the speed. That's probably more important compared with this high order effect of J.
So sorry,
There is a common between GSZ, SZ, and the transfer component, rather than the SX.
So there's a JCJ transverse.
Yeah.
Right. The end result is inducing quantum distribution.
But that also leads to quantum.
Yeah.
Question.
I had a question concerning the residual entropy of the erbium compound.
Okay.
Maybe there's something I didn't understand, but if there are thermally accessible higher crystal field levels, isn't the high energy limit that entropy bigger than R02?
Isn't it bigger than log 2? Yes, this is from the effect of spin. So we only went to high enough temperatures to access those two modes, and then we subtracted that.
But that's an entropy difference, yeah. So you need to know what the high temperature limit entropy is.
I think I'm missing the point. If we add more degrees of freedom, we're going to have more entropy.
Yeah.
Right. So the log 2 is the effect of low temperature systems. So this is the effect of.
But on that, maybe I didn't understand the higher that temperature scale, don't you access the higher levels in that material?
No, 20 Kelvin. That's like 2 millimoles.
At the first excited?
Sorry.
The first excited state is where?
The first excited state is 4 millimoles. Yeah. 4. Yeah, and it will be subtracted. That's this green here. We subtracted off the subtraction.
Repeat the question.
Yeah, so he's asking where the lowest crystal field level is 4 millivolts, and that's going to correct the permanent entropy. And I said yes, and we corrected it. It's interesting, right? I'm sorry about what we subtracted that. And the 6 millivolt.
So if there are no further questions, then let's thank Gregory MacDougall. Let me remind you that we now go into the poster session, half an hour